Invest 99L won't develop into a tropical storm, but it is bringing widespread impacts. We'll look at that and the potential for tropical development elsewhere for the week ahead. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Friends, how are you? Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We are your home for Caribbean weather. It's really nice to see you for the latest video. Hope you're doing well. And coming up in this video, 99L never developed as it got into the Eastern Caribbean, but it's a big swath of rain and storms and some gusty winds. We're going to highlight what's happening now, and as it moves off towards the west, the impacts it will bring, the latest on Tropical Storm Faron, and if there's any potential other development tropically for the week ahead. As always, this time of the year, that's a busy forecast. Let's get started. Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the leading law firm of Central Florida. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys to cover the entire state. You get storm damage of any kind. They'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. Friends, go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. As always, love to hear from the Meteo Mundo weather community. Let me know where you're viewing from. Let me know what the weather has been like. Appreciate those comments below. So let's get started with what's going on across the area for today. As you can see, there is no development area highlighted from the Hurricane Center from what was Invest 99L. It got into the Eastern Caribbean. The fast trade winds ripped apart that circulation, which was never fully developed, and now it is a broad area of showers and storms. But again, it is still bringing some impacts to our area. We're going to get some good thunderstorm activity. We're going to get some gusty winds. And look, let me be clear about this. In some spots, this is going to be very welcomed rain because of the excessive heat that we've had. Let's get started where we have some of this moisture trying to stream in right now back towards the ABC Islands. This is an area desperate to get some rain and some storms and to cool things down, and also maybe a little bit less wind. That last part is not going to happen. We still have really fresh breezes coming in, northern sides of Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, trying to get this moisture to develop as far south as the Curacao Bonaire area, where we've had a couple of storms just off the west coast of Bonaire at the hour. We're going to likely see a better chance for storms late today and then throughout the day on Tuesday as this axis of tropical moisture with the remnants of 9L continues to work its way off towards the west. As you guys know, we have live cameras across the Caribbean to help tell the weather story in your area. This is a live shot on this late Monday in Oranjestad, Aruba, again, just to the south where that axis of tropical moisture is right now. It's actually a beautiful afternoon. Still a bit of a breeze, but we haven't really kicked up the winds as of yet. But fresh winds and the opportunity for some squalls will be moving back into the ABC Islands later tonight and then throughout the day on Tuesday as well. Now, an area that will continue to see some impacts for at least the remainder of this afternoon and this evening will be the Lesser Antilles in general, especially back towards the Windward Islands. Now, the axis of the richest, deepest tropical moisture has moved off to the west. So we're beginning to see some of this activity fade away. We don't have the adverse weather alert to yellow level for Trinidad and Tobago anymore. We still have some marine advisories from time to time, but again, the grip of the tropical moisture associated with 99L is beginning to move off towards the west. Have those wind gusts on right now, but haven't recorded a wind gust of any significance in the southern half of the Lesser Antilles for today, but still some passing showers. I've noted a couple of good downpours over St. Vincent today, portions of St. Lucia, northern sides of the Grenadines towards the Bequia area, down towards Carriacou, Union Island, all with an opportunity. Again, it's not island-wide and it's not all day long, but there's still a few showers developing here. Even Barbados could catch a quick shower at a time. Martinique, Dominica, a little bit cloudier skies for today towards Guadeloupe and Montserrat as well. And generally speaking, with this moisture kind of lifting north through the day, the farther north that you are in the island chain, you're going to see more impacts. Now, again, we have another camera here in St. Lucia. Looks like it actually just went blank. Let me see here. There it is. All right, it's back. Live look outside Corinth, St. Lucia on this late Monday. We're looking to the west, so you're looking towards the sunset and just kind of a hazy sky out there. Remember, 99L was embedded with a little bit of Sahara dust, so as the moisture pulls away, there's still just a little bit of haze in the sky across the Lesser Antilles and the Eastern Caribbean in general, but not a bad day. Now, the winds have really been freshening across the Leeward Islands today. St. Bart's has had a 35-mile-an-hour breeze. Other than that, it's been relatively fair weather clouds, a brisk shower or two is possible, but not a lot of rain today in the Lesser Antilles. That will begin to change in the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. You can clearly see south of St. Croix at the hour, the building thunderstorms, the building moisture getting into the islands late on this Monday, and the winds ahead of it are quite fresh. In St. Croix, Christiansted, the winds are still going to be your trade winds out of the east, but the mid-level winds are coming out of the south, and the confluence of those winds should promote healthy showers and storms across the area beginning later tonight and then throughout the day on Tuesday. St. Thomas has had a 30-plus mile-an-hour breeze. It's been breezy in St. John and Yost Van Dyke, Virgin Gorda, Roadtown, Tortola, Anegada. Fresh winds across Puerto Rico as well. A couple of thunderstorms developing at the hour, but it's really been more about the wind and the heat today as well. Again, so many of you have commented how hot it's been. These are your actual air temperatures. Ponce today hit 97 degrees. Even St. Thomas hit 95. You factor in the humidity, and this is the feels like temperature. And for those who don't know much about the heat index, this is what it really feels like when you step outside. In Fahrenheit, it felt like 108 in Ponce today. It's above 40 degrees Celsius for feels like temperature in some areas. It's extremely rough weather. We've had heat advisories. We've had extreme heat warnings for portions of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands and other areas, local governments issuing heat advisories as well. Now, we have access to live radar network here at Meteo Mundo. So I'm going to bring on the live radar out of Puerto Rico, drop off the satellite data real quick, and just to show you the copious amounts of tropical moisture just south of the island through the Mota Passage. You get a couple of showers near Mayaguez. They're going to be working their way towards Punta Cana and La Romana. And again, these feels like temperatures are so rough here. Just to, again, zoom this out, I don't want to exclude anyone, but so many of you have talked about the heat, and hopefully the remnants of 99L bring some showers your way to cool things off. We should get better rain chances in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic and Haiti over the next day or two, and all of this should then translate off towards the west. But there's a lot of moisture to move into the area here. Maybe not all of it, or the highest axis of moisture gets that far north, but clearly we are getting a push north overall with this, and I do expect rain chances to go up in those areas and eventually towards the Dominican Republic and Haiti, where again, feels like numbers today outrageously hot, well above the century mark in Fahrenheit, back to actual temperatures. Barcelona 97 today, Santo Domingo 93. Again, you guys live in some of these areas that have been parched. Let me know in the comments section. Try to get some storms to develop and lift north there. Port-au-Prince, it hasn't been very fun. And even in my friends in Jamaica, we're getting some thunderstorms developing at the hour, but so many of you have talked about how hot it has been. Now, this is an area where down the road, the remnants of 99L should bring richer tropical moisture, better downpours to try and cool things off. Good thunderstorms at the hour late today for St. Elizabeth, portions of Triolani, St. James, Westmoreland, and Hanover parishes from the Mandeville area, Black River, Savlamar, Cambridge, Montego Bay, Lucy, Negril. Not everyone's going to get the storms. Montego Bay just to the north of everything, at least there's an opportunity. Kingston right now is high and dry. There's been some extra cloud coverage the last couple of days, but again, the rain has been more confined to western areas outside of a few showers earlier the weekend off towards the east. But again, all of this here is going to be working its way into the Western Caribbean to bring higher rain chances. One area that had some good rain for today was across the Cayman Islands. Again, it's so localized, but you can see earlier in the day, this is a good cluster of thunderstorms near Little Cayman and Cayman Brac on over towards Grand Cayman. Temperatures rebounded after the storms moved through, but again, beautiful, good to see some showers and storms there. Thunderstorms are breaking out across interior sections of Cuba at the hour. We're still going to see a decent chance for rain in the northern and northwest Bahamas, closer to this frontal boundary, which is stalled out in North Florida, but it's raking across the area. Impulses of energy coming out of the eastern Gulf, working west to east across Florida, and some of that has been able to work its way into the northern Bahamas. Let's take a look outside of what's going on right now, bring on the radar out of Miami. And again, thunderstorms have been a little bit more few and far between today so far. We had a little bit earlier in the day, but clusters of storms developing here out of Florida should work their way into Walker's Key and Grand Bahama and the Abacos later on this evening and overnight. It could redevelop again for Bimini and Nassau, New Providence, and Andros and Eleuthera a little bit later into Tuesday as well. It's going to fade a bit the next couple of days, but it's also not going to be completely dry. Temperatures here have been hot. There have been heat advisories each day for all of the Bahamas. Very isolated storms for the central and southeast Bahamas. High and dry right now from our friends in Turks and Caicos. Another couple of cameras to show you a live look outside of Governor's Harbor in central Eleuthera. Again, a little bit of a deck of overcast skies, some developing cloud coverage, bit of a breeze, but overall many dry hours and locations. And it's been a beautiful shot in Long Island. Again, we've had a couple of passing showers here or there, but it's been mainly dry looking off to the west here. And again, not a bad late Monday afternoon. Swing on over to the rest of the Western Caribbean, where we're keeping an eye on some deep tropical moisture coming back in with the monsoon trough. Now, this is ahead of 99L, but the thunderstorms have really gotten prolific today. The southern sides of Quintana Roo, from the Chetumal area back down towards Campeche. They'll build up towards Merida, Tulum, Cozumel, Cancun. Thunderstorms have been more prolific today, especially in interior sections of Belize. Big time lightning with these storms. Look at the temperatures dropping back down to the lower 80s, and more will be spiraling in. So it's been a cloudier day through portions of the Bay Islands of Honduras and areas like that. And thunderstorms will be a little more prominent into the eastern sides of Honduras and Nicaragua, especially back down towards Panama and Costa Rica. Again, it's just a wetter forecast in these areas. And with 99L's remnants on the way, we're going to once again churn things up with some brisk winds and the opportunity for some, heavier and more widespread showers and storms. Just looking at wind gusts at the hour, Grand Cayman did have a 30-mile-an-hour wind gust earlier. Belize City, as some of the thunderstorms rolled through, had a wind gust of over 30 miles an hour. Now, real quickly, Bermuda, you guys are fantastic. Great to see that tropical storm Faron is moving northeast. It's becoming extratropical. Winds are up to 60 miles an hour. But again, this is the kind of storm that we like to see. One that will be moving into the open waters of the North Atlantic. And although it's going to be a wind producer, moving away from any populated areas, still could bring some gale conditions close to the eastern portions of Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. Friends, if you got anything out of this video, real quickly, I really appreciate the payback. And just hit that like button for me. You want to join a fantastic weather community, you found your home, hit that subscribe button right now. We got a great community. Thanks for sharing this channel with your family and friends. And thanks for finding other ways to support the channel. Our memberships are open. That's the join button, and the super thanks and other ways in the description of the video below. All right, so we've had 6 named storms in the Atlantic hurricane season. Aaron, obviously the big one so far, the Cat 5, but all have avoided major impacts to land. So that is great. We'll continue to build climatologically to September 10th to where we hit the peak of hurricane season as far as frequency of tropical storms and hurricanes. So we have, 2.5 weeks to go or something like that. Then we'll fall a bit with a secondary area late in October to kind of peak up again. But what's going to be happening between now and, say, September 20th is always a very interesting part of the Atlantic hurricane season. You can clearly see the cold water upwelling that Aaron has brought to portions of the western Atlantic basin as sea surface temperatures have fallen there. So you're not going to get a storm to develop in those areas, or if it moves across this cooler water in the short term, it would more than likely not, strengthen. It might even weaken a bit, but everywhere else is open for business with sea surface temperatures that are like bath water, especially in the Gulf of Mexico, the far western Atlantic basin towards the Bahamas, and portions of the Northwest Caribbean. So what does it look like for the week ahead? Well, at this point in time, there is no invest areas or no areas that the Hurricane Center is highlighting for potential tropical development. Remember, an invest is short for investigation. The Hurricane Center just says, look, this is an area we'll be monitoring. It's not a tropical depression or tropical storm as of yet, but they are the areas that we expect could be next down the road. Obviously, this time of the year, we look into the Atlantic basin for waves coming off of the West African coast. All is quiet in the short term. It looks like overall the broader pattern is going to try and develop storms in the East Pacific, as you can see right now, in the next 5 to 7 days. But we never have a big lull in activity tropically for us this time of the year. So here's the things I'm monitoring in the short term. 99L's progress off towards the west. Again, it's being ripped apart by the strong trade winds in the Caribbean. Storms have to be fully formed to be able to sustain themselves through the Caribbean this time of the year with the brisk trade winds. This is never going to reform in the Caribbean. It's just going to be a broad area of thunderstorms. We have this stalled out boundary, which is, again, you never can discount an opportunity to wrap up an area of low pressure along a storm boundary like this across the Gulf or the Western Atlantic. I'll be monitoring that in the coming days in other areas off of the east coast of the United States as well. But in the short term, and I mean between now and about Friday, I don't see anything that's going to develop tropically. We're going to look at the models coming up here in just a second. So let's first of all just take a look at some of the heavier rain that this could bring. And I'm talking about Invest 99L's remnants here. Let me make sure I load up the right product. There we go. All right. So first of all, again, not a bad scenario to break some of the heat. Let's get you guys some rain, some of the areas that have been desperately dry. Let's get you some better showers to cool things off. Now, is this going to be something that brings absolutely no impacts? The answer is no. There's already the large wave and strong wind advisory back for the offshore waters of Jamaica, for the Pedro and Morant Bank areas. We already have small craft advisories up for Belize, and we have other marine interests as well. And again, just check in with your local government and officials. But the wind is going to be a big story out of the remnants of 99L. That will be fresh winds, 20, 25, 30 plus mile an hour breezes that'll come along for the ride. But the central and the western sides of the Caribbean will stay fairly wet. The monsoon trough is quite active right now, and that all just kind of feeds into what's going to be higher rain chances for those areas. For the Bahamas in the short term, still think there's a better chance in the Northwest Bahamas. Otherwise, will be a little bit drier from time to time. And behind 99L, there will still be some shallow areas of moisture with the brisk trade winds across the Eastern Caribbean, including the Lesser and the Greater Antilles. But I'm not expecting there to be any concentrated rain, at least in the short term. It'll be more about, again, spinning this to the west and some higher chances for the Dominican Republic and Haiti and Cuba and the Cayman Islands and Jamaica and all of the Yucatan and the northern sides of Central America. Those are the areas that should be wettest in the short term. Now, if we look at the long term, and going back out here, if I swing over to the GFS model and we go long term, and I'm going to take it out to Monday, which if you're an American viewer, that would be Labor Day, just to show you guys how the overall perspective looks here. First of all, we're going to see another trough coming off of the United States East Coast. And the European model is beginning to hint at signs of potential development off of the United States East Coast with that trough over the Labor Day weekend. Not great timing, kicking up surf and sea conditions if nothing else, but you can clearly see that there's some unsettled weather coming off of the east coast of the U.S., just north of the Bahamas. That's something we'll be monitoring. If nothing else, it'll be kicking waves of rain towards Bermuda once again and kicking up sea conditions, but that's an area that I'm going to be monitoring. Down the road, we are going to get another stronger tropical wave coming off the coast. This will be right at the end of August, and there are some signs, especially on the European model, that this one could quickly develop as it gets into the eastern Atlantic. It may not wait very long just to the west of the islands here, to the Azores, to fire off better thunderstorms and produce, the opportunity for a quick developing storm. That's too far east. But you get the idea that in the next 4 to 5 days, I think we're going to be talking more local storms than tropical development in these areas. Okay, so again, just getting back to our kind of home base area, and then I'm going to loop it back up. Now, the winds here in the Caribbean, that's going to be a story. Let me bring on our wind vectors. I'm going to make these a little bit bigger for you guys. And I'm just even going to go out the next few days. We don't even have to go out too far here to tell the story. Once again, purples are 20 mile an hour winds. Pinks are 25. You get to the whites, that's 30 mile an hour winds. Now, we don't have a lot of that sustained. These are your sustained winds at the surface, but coming along for the ride with 99L is brisk easterlies. So there's going to be all kinds of wind issues that'll be coming along for the ride here. So sea conditions will be elevated. Small craft really need to be paying attention here. And then we're going to get some nice squalls that'll be moving along. But this is why 99L didn't develop in the Caribbean, because we have these brisk trade winds. So let me show you what the European model is doing over the next week. All right. Again, Wednesday, Thursday, all is quiet, even into the early part of the weekend. But as we get to Sunday, you're going to start to see a couple of areas developing here on the European model into Monday and early Tuesday. They even have one coming into the Western Gulf. And that is all along that next trough that kind of stalls itself out here in the same orientation. We've had several do so at, in the last couple of months. Nothing developing in the Caribbean, nothing developed in the far western side of the Atlantic, main development region over the next 5 to 7 days. When we expand out this view, same model, European model, look off of the west coast of Africa. Again, quiet the next several days, but as we get towards the weekend, here comes the next one, and that one could develop very quickly. So it's kind of like spread out, far northwest, far east, for potential development areas in about a 5 to 7 day time frame. You know, across the Caribbean, not expecting any local development, but 99L is going to continue to bring some impact. So there will be a lull in the activity for potential tropical development the next 4 or 5 days, and I think we're going to be ramping it back up for the weekend ahead to monitor a couple of different areas. So when we're looking at these rain chances, obviously this is going to be very localized. For the Northwest Bahamas, still a decent chance tomorrow, more isolated Wednesday, Thursday, isolated in general for the Central and Southeast Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. Locally heavy thunderstorms are likely in Cuba right on through Thursday. Cayman Islands rain chances kind of all over the place. Decent tomorrow, lower Wednesday. That axis of the moisture of 99L gets in late Wednesday, Thursday. Rain chances should go up. Same situation for Belize City, where the rain chances just improve. Wetter and wetter, some storms, some locally heavy rainfall. Cancun and Cozumel's rain chances going up. Same situation for my friends in Jamaica. Best chance to get good downpours in association with the tropical moisture from what's left over of 99L comes on Wednesday. Drier Thursday, good solid rain chances the next several days in the Dominican Republic. Building rain chances for Puerto Rico. U.S. and British Virgin Islands stay healthy rain chances. Building rain chances for Bermuda as well. Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis, 40 to 50%. Again, you get this far east, the moisture is much more shallow, so I'm not expecting heavy rain in the Lesser Antilles, but the rain chances are decent. Highest tomorrow, and then they will drop off a category or two on Wednesday and Thursday. So you go from the 40, 50, 60 tomorrow to 30, 40 on Wednesday and Thursday from Antigua, Barbuda, all the way down to St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. Again, watch out for marine advisories to still be issued from time to time. We do have some long period swells still into play. It's subsiding and it's diminishing, but it's not completely done as of yet. Barbados, more isolated showers, but still some breezy conditions. Grenada, 30% chance for showers the next couple of days. Back and forth between 30 and 40 in Trinidad and Tobago. Decent rain chances for Suriname and Guyana. Still could see some locally heavier downpours in Nueva Esparta, especially for tomorrow. And there's your ABC Islands rain chance for your Tuesday. It's a 50% chance. Hope my friends there get some rain. The winds, though, well, they're still going to be a factor. It just continues to be gusty there across the islands. Okay, so looking at the marine interests, again, look into the Caribbean, and you're just going to see, we'll let this reset one more time. So here's 99L's remnants. Again, that's why you have the marine advisory for the offshore waters of southern sides of Jamaica, because you're going to have 8, 9, 10-foot waves, up to 2.5, maybe even 3-meter waves from time to time. That's all pushing towards the Caribbean coastline of Central America. We're still churned up in the Western Atlantic Basin from Aaron and Faron. It will relax itself a bit into the weekend, which is good, but then once the trough comes back off the coastline, building wave heights are likely on Labor Day. You can clearly see that on the coastline of Georgia and the Carolinas. Winds should diminish a bit off the eastern side of the Lesser Antilles, so overall improving marine conditions. But again, we've had a lot of, swells and advisories lately, so coming down off of that some, but certainly not completely flat calm out there. Rain totals could be significant in a couple of areas. You can clearly see the first trough and the rain is developing just north of the Bahamas, but the second one has a little bit farther south push. So places like New Providence and Grand Bahama could see inches and inches of rain. Very locally heavy rainfall for portions of the Western Caribbean. Jamaica and the Cayman Islands are included in this as well. And fresh winds and fresh rainfall totals that could be on the higher side for the southern half of the Lesser Antilles. Still looking at more spotty rain overall for the Greater Antilles, the Southeast Bahamas, Turks and Caicos. But I'm not going to rule out some locally heavier downpours from time to time, which could produce more than 50 millimeters of rain, at one point. Friends, I appreciate you guys. You can follow us across all of our social media platforms. We are on Instagram, TikTok, X, and Facebook. You'd like to send me a picture or video to help tell your weather story in your area, it's myMediaMundo@gmail.com. Look, as always, if you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. And while you're down there, I do appreciate you taking a quick second and liking and subscribing. And please remember that Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys, offering free consultation and policy reviews. They'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. Go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. Friends, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for hitting the like button on the way out. Have a great rest of your day. I'm back tomorrow with your latest forecast right here at Meteo Mundo.